Our space is no longer an exclusive domain. It has become central to developing modern technologies and must be regulated to ensure national security. Now, these were the words of the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Onaji, at a workshop on space regulation in Nigeria. Uloma Oyemachi reports.
The halls of the Robert Ajayi Boniface Multipurpose Conference Room was filled with dignitaries, ministers, directors general, heads of agencies, civil and public servants. They all gathered to explore better ways to secure Nigeria's space ecosystem.
Today marks a significant milestone in our collective effort to establish a fully regulated and commercially viable space industry in Nigeria. This vision is built on national security, economic growth, and youth empowerment in our dear country.
From the two distinct presentations by key speakers, a consensus was reached, highlighting solutions that could drive Nigeria's space ambitions forward, including the need for a stronger legislative framework and a thorough review of the national space policy.
It's not so much about the licensing thing. It's a bigger issue. The big issue is how do we connect space to the national economy? Because if you do that effectively, then the licensing issue would not be a problem.
Before the space agency came, there was green revolution. We even thought that it was indiscipline that was making us to behave like that. So we launched war against indiscipline. And that is where your regulation. If you don't understand this, you have to regulate the science, you have to regulate the technology, and you have to regulate the products and the innovations separately.
From the official unveiling of a new logo for the space agency to the launch of a space regulation portal, the event was filled with optimism for what lies ahead.
Our task is clear: to ensure a transparent, well-regulated ecosystem where both public and private players, from emerging startups to established institutions, can thrive.
Just behind me is the newly unveiled monument at NASRDA, a rocket going into space. The take-home from this event is that it's not just a ceremony, it's a recommitment by various stakeholders to space exploration and regulation in Nigeria. This event will serve as a reminder for the future. Uloma Oyemachi, TVC News, Abuja.
And Director General of the National Space Research and Development Agency, NASRDA, Mati Adigbodi, joins me on the news at 7. Good to have you join us.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm just looking at that monument that was unveiled, which is the symbol of a rocket going to space. Nigeria has always had very ambitious goals for its future in space. Yet we have countries like South Africa and Egypt doing better, than Nigeria. What are the challenges?
Sincerely speaking, Nigeria still remains one of the best and then the leaders in space science and technology, as well as innovation on the continent of Africa, and we are the pioneer on this field, and we are still doing our best, like what we did today. It is the first time we are doing this in Africa, and of course, we are probably the third nation to be regulating our space arena after United States and India, who have a regulatory framework of this kind. And the agency is poised to take our rightful position, because the NASRDA Act 2010 has given us the power to regulate the space sector through the National Space Space Council, chaired by Mr. President. And of course, since 2015, the commandment has been given to us to regulate the space sector. And of course, when I assumed the leadership of the agency, I did the SWOT analysis, and I want to thank the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for giving me the opportunity to serve the country. And of course, my Honorable Minister, Chief Uche Jeffrey Naji, who have absolute belief and giving me the maximum support to succeed and then excel. Mr. President has given us the approval and then even the takeoff grant to regulate the Nigerian space sector. We will get to that
grant in just a moment, Mr. Adekboju. Yeah. I will get to that. But I also just wanted to mention as we speak, when it comes to satellites in space, both Egypt and South Africa have 13, and we have 7. That puts us at number 3. But I want to touch on something you said yesterday during a stakeholders workshop, that the regulatory function of NASRDA, as encapsulated in the Act in 2010, has remained unfulfilled since its establishment in 1999. Tell us more about that.
Oh, thank you very much. The agency was established in 1999, but the Act of Parliament was passed since 2010. And sincerely speaking, it takes the leadership to look inside and see what works for the agency and for the country. So when I was appointed as Director General of the Space Agency 10 months ago, I look at the Act to know the instrument of governance that is in my hand to take the agency to where the agency should be. And the Section 6K and Section 9 of the NASRDA Act 2010 has given us the power to regulate the Nigerian space sector from the upstream, midstream, and downstream. And this is what we are doing, and this is what we are committed to make a reality and a success for the country.
So when Nigerians hear regulation, the first thing that comes to their mind is the stifling of freedoms. But talk to us about what this regulation entails, and we understand that the president has given like a 20 billion naira takeoff fund. What can Nigerians also expect? Okay, thank you very much.
The space sector is actually divided into 3: the upstream, the midstream, and the downstream. The upstream entails the people, the organization and institution that have the space assets in the orbit. And then the midstream is the services being provided through the satellite. It's a satellite in the orbit, maybe the communication satellite, Earth observation satellite, GNSS, weather, and so many other ones like that. Then on the downstream are the people who have the ground station, which is communicating directly to the satellite in the orbit. And oftentimes in Nigeria here, the services that we are receiving is really poor, and it's because that sector has not been regulated with the people that have the technical know-how. When you go all over the world during the rainy season, when it's snowing, the television from the satellite services from the satellite doesn't crack, it doesn't go off the screen. But in our own environment here, immediately it's about to rain, then you hardly see anything on your screen anymore. And even the telephone services, the broadband internet, the services we are receiving is not at the level it should be. So we are posed to make sure that Nigeria gets a better service for and value for money. And these are some of the things that we intend to achieve for the country and for our dear citizens.
That last part is very interesting. We're now in the rainy seasons. People should pay for cable TV and be able to enjoy it. Thank you so much for your time. Director General of the National Space Research and Development Agency, Matthew Adekboju.
Thank you very much.